Good afternoon. This is your last opportunity to hear my thin bird-like voice talk about what is going on in this class. We are in the final moments of this, the home stretch. After the 13th, I will accept no more work, so that gives you about a week to get everything in order. A couple of things about posting for today. I have posted a link to do evaluations for the class through Canvas if you so desire. They're only going to be good until Friday, so if you're interested in doing something like that, go ahead, follow the links and fill that out. Also, I have posted grades as they are up to date yesterday. Anything anybody sent me within the last 24 hours has not been included in that. But again, make sure that everything that you have sent me is accounted for. So those are the two things that you need to check before we get on to today's main topic, which is the final. The final is Final BM. Final BM. It is linked from the English 5 syllabus page, and you can readily access it there. If you have any questions about any of this, anything that I'm talking about today, or any other of the administrative or housekeeping details of the class, you can go ahead and call me at that number that is on the syllabus. But let's talk about the final. All right, final is based on a competency test that I've administered and been a part of at several different institutions. There's the Subject A at the UC system. There's the WPJ that you have here at Sac State. In any case, they all pretty much work the same. And that is, usually there's a two-part question. One that asks you to identify and locate, okay, the main idea that exists within the text, or an idea within the text. And then the second question typically asks you to evaluate that idea in part one, or perhaps a related idea, and then provide support for your opinion. And again, when we get to this, I want to underscore it, but I'll say it right here, is that what I'm looking for here typically is not your own notions or your own ideas that serve as support, but the ideas or opinions of other people. You will see that I have a number of different links at the bottom of this particular question that I have set up for Final BM. Those are possibilities that you might use to bring into your essay in order to illustrate your opinion. In any case, as you set this up, there's basically, a pretty simple approach. First of all, the essay only has to be roughly 500 words. Between 400 to 600 would be sufficient. It's designed so that you do it within about a 2-hour period. So set yourself aside 2 hours, read the essay, respond to it appropriately, and send it in. That is all you need to do here. It doesn't have to be a longer, more protracted effort like you had with some of the other papers this term. Designed to be done in 2 hours. But in doing that, typically what you have is you have one paragraph, the intro paragraph, where you report the idea from question number 1. And typically what I encourage people to do is not only put forth what they think the idea is in their own words, but you can also include the original language from the text. Typically there's a selection from the text that answers the question pretty appropriately. The best thing to do is to do both. To both appropriate from the original text and to put it in your own words. And there's reasons for that. I won't go into them here because of the time limitations of the video. Secondly, in the body of your paper, you need to evaluate the idea, just like we have been doing all term, where we've been talking about ideas and then providing specific evidence to support them. the whole idea of a topic sentence, introducing the evidence, and then reiterating the evidence at the end of that paragraph is probably a very good idea. If you can't do it all in one particular paragraph, then you can go and find another example and write another paragraph, and so on and so forth. So that's why I have step 2 there as lather, rinse, repeat. Just continue heaping on examples from things that you read or other items that you might want to bring into the essay. Now, you can bring your own evidence, so to speak, your own thinking, your own experience, if indeed somewhere else you have brought in the ideas or the evidence of a third party, i.e. an informed American. This could be anyone typically above the age of 16 years old who has, a general understanding of the issues you might be talking about, but more particularly it refers to anybody who might have bothered to put their ideas into print, loaded them online, or have them printed in some other source. So that's basically what you're looking at with respect to an informed American. All right, so locate and report the idea in the intro, find some way to get to that, and then in the body you can provide support for your opinion by using the evidence that others present or the ideas that others have presented as well. Continue that process, and then in your conclusion, typically what you do there is reiterate your position and restate the idea that's in the intro. But really the guidelines for the conclusion in this are pretty loose. What I'm more concerned about is that you can take an idea and support it and evaluate it using outside source material. That in essence is what all competency tests are asking you to do. It's what I've been asking you to do all term. These questions that are here are nothing more, think of them as nothing more than the kinds of study questions that I've been asking you all term, where you have to extract certain pieces of information from the text that you've been reading and provide, a reasoned and adequate response to those questions. So that is what the final is about. Generally speaking, give me a second here, and we'll take a look at the 2 questions more specifically that relate to the essay. The essay is from a op-ed piece that was published in the New York Times on May 5th by a gentleman by the name of Christopher Wartzel. And the first question basically asks, why does Wartzel say that there are similarities between those who want to return to normal during the COVID-19 crisis, okay, and those who want to prevent any kind of governmental control on gun ownership? So that's the idea, the parallel he sees between these 2 movements, and you need to try to provide some support for that. Or I shouldn't say support, you just need to locate and report that idea in the intro. Now the second question has an idea that's related to that, and that is, do you think most informed Americans, and notice how I've underlined that, would agree with Wartzel that the root cause of both of these movements is an overly simplistic view of the importance of freedom in America? So that's your second question that you're basically giving a thumbs up or thumbs down to. And you'll see a number of the links that I have below have to deal with the concept of freedom and how it's been constructed in American history. So you can go to any of those sources and talk about how we might have thought about freedom in the past, how we think about freedom now, whether freedom is important in other countries, if people think about it differently, etc., etc. But you're really evaluating, in many respects, the concept of freedom and how important it is. Is it the only thing, like Mel Gibson yells at the end of Braveheart, or is the notion of freedom something that's more nuanced? So that's something you need to wrestle with and grapple with, and hopefully you have a a reasonably good time with that question. So those are the two questions. That's the finals based on. You have to read that article by Wartzel to get a better sense of where this is all going. Let me remind you that all of this needs to be turned in by midnight on Wednesday, May 13th. At that point in time, I will accept no other work, no finals, no outstanding work, no identity papers, nothing, unless you have spoken to me beforehand about some extenuating circumstances. So again, May 13th, midnight. That's the drop dead date. Anything after that will have to be accompanied by extreme appeals or some other extraordinary and generous offer. At this point in time, I'd like to thank you for bearing with all of this. It's been a crazy term, crazy semester. For those of you who are still hanging on or are in striking range of passing the class, I take my hat off to you. It takes a lot of self-discipline, which I know is in very short supply sometimes these days with all the other kinds of appeals for your attention that are out there. It's so easy to get distracted. You really have to hold yourself to finishing and completing what the task is at hand for school. It's only a little bit more, just this final, and if you haven't turned it in, your identity paper, it all comes to a close on the 13th. I need to have my grades in by the 20th, so there's a very good chance that you'll have an idea of what you have in the class beforehand. If there are any questions once you receive your grade back on the final that I will have graded, please contact me as soon as possible so I can clear that up before I send the grades in. So again, if you get your grade and you think there's some sort of clerical error or there's a dispute, contact me right away. It has to go in on my end before the 20th. That's all. Thanks for your time, and we'll see you on campus sometime in the future, hopefully. Take care.